Hello, friends. This is from Purushottam Collective. We are so excited to today delve with a very exciting and very trendy topic, that is Indian knowledge system. In this particular video, we are going to see exactly what comprises Indian knowledge system. It is vast and it is so profound and it has so many aspects. So for anything that we delve into, it is better to get into the very structure. And once you know the structure, we can take one part and then we can go deep into it. So today I'm going to just discuss some of the aspects, and more succeeding videos will be delving more into some of the details. So let's understand. So when you talk about Indian knowledge system, what actually comes to your mind is India knowledge and system. So of course, India is a country, and the word India is something which came from the Indus River, that is Sindhu, and then it was the Greek who used the word called Indos. So if you see the word India is not actually from India, the word actually is called Bharat, and Bharat has Bha and Rata. Bha talks about light, and Rata means somebody who is involved. So Bharat talks about where one is involved with the light. So Bharat Varsha, so it's a subcontinent, and we have so many dynamics in understanding the Indian knowledge system as the Bharatiya Gyan Parampara. That is more appropriate. And today, because of national education policy, this is something which is getting already incorporated in many of the schools and colleges. So when you talk about India, it is primarily the subcontinent and the ancient system and the Vedic civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, and the community, and all the development that has happened with the people, and of course the sages and the seers, which got embedded and embodied in our very culture and in the very civilization system. Every civilization has something that has evolved, and that evolution has happened with respect to the surrounding, the environment, and it is something which has got evolved with time. And compared to many civilization, Indian civilization is something which has stood the test of time. And not only we as the Bharatiya, as an Indian that actually we are studying it, across the globe people are getting interested. India is a very curious country, and so many things to explore and so many things to delve into. And Indian knowledge, now when we talk about knowledge, knowledge is something which is justified, and knowledge is something which is a truth, and knowledge is something which is also a belief system. It's not only that we Indian believe something, it is across the globe that people believe into it. So knowledge itself is such a complex thing to really define. And of course, when you talk about knowledge, we have certain components like information, we have knowledge, we have wisdom, and we have experiences. So India is a land of diversity. India is a land of unity, and India is a curious country. India has so many dynamics and dimensions to explore into and to really get immersed into it. Now, since it's a video which I'll be talking about the structure, let's understand the structure. We have something called as a goal, as Chatur Vidya Sadhaka. You can say that we have something called as Purushartha. We have Dharma, Artha, Kama, and the Moksha. So that is something to start with, because it is a very quest of human being that what do I do with my life? And one of the dimensions where actually what do I do with my life is basically we are looking for it. And what actually we're looking for it is dharma, which is the righteousness we are talking about. Artha is the wealth, but of course the wealth is not monetary wealth. It is also about other wealth, like physical wealth. We talk about even our wealth in terms of our aesthetics. We have wealth in terms of our monetary value, wealth in terms of knowledge value. So wealth, of course, is being depicted in one of the Upaveda that is called Arthasashra. We are going to really delve into that. So dharma, artha, kama, sensuality, because India is a land of senses, and we have so much of our celebrations. It's a land of festivals. It's a land of colors. It's a land of so many deities, and it is a land of even mythology. And we take a lot of interest. It is drama. It is poetry. It is our art. It is our aesthetics. So India is a land of beauty, and we have the monuments and the cultures and the festivals and the lights, and so many elemental dimensions that we get in touch with, we get immersed, we participate. So karma is something that we get involved, and the beauty in terms of aesthetics, everything actually comes through, by which you can experience, because life is not only in one dimension or two dimension or in three dimensions. Life actually gives many dimensions. So when we talk about karma, it is not only about sensuality or sexuality. It is to burst forth. It's a calling forth to the higher dimensions where we're able to get involved into that. And ultimately, these three things, that is dharma, artha, and the kama, is the trai. And then, of course, the fourth dimension came, that is talking about the moksha, moktum ichuhu, that is called moksha. Because ultimately, one of the fundamental tenet of Indian knowledge system, or the Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, is that I want to get free. And freedom is not something that happens after death. Freedom can actually happen in this life itself. Now, moksha, when you talk about, so that is called Jivan Mukti and Vidya Mukti. Jivan Mukti is talking about where we trying to get liberated in this life itself. And Vidya Mukti is something that we get liberated from the Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam. And that is something, of course, which is such a fantastic concepts to really delve with. So as we move on, we'll be dealing with this. So maybe to some, this Purushartha is actually giving a certain kind of a fundamental tenet that you can actually begin with. So this is just the beginning. Now, every system has certain kind of a structure where we built upon it. So it is something like a model. So if somebody asks you, what is exactly the Indian knowledge system model? Now, there are several aspects we generally talk about as Chatur Dasha Vidya, and then of course we have Ashtadasha Vidya. So this is the model. So we first talk about Purushartha, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And then we have Chaturdasha. Chaturdasha talks about Chatur and Dasha, that is 14 knowledge system. We'll be adding plus 4, then we have Ashtadasha Vidya. So let's go one by one. So we'll be breaking this Chaturdasha Vidya and Ashtadasha Vidya into components. So we begin with 4, okay? And then 6, and then 4, and then 4. Now this first 4 is talking about the Vedas. Now we have how many Vedas? Every Indian knows that we have 4 Vedas. Now Veda word basically means knowledge. It basically means to know something. It is vid. Even if you say we talk about the word video and the vid and the Veda. And in India, we generally use the word called darshan, is to see, video is to see. In the Western concept, they have the word called philosophy. Now, we begin the Chaturdasha Vidya first with the first 4 components, and we have 4 Veda, and they are the Rig Veda, and then we have Yajur Veda, then we have Sama Veda, and then we have Atharva Veda. Briefly, I'll talk on each of this, maybe one maybe sentence on this, but of course they are very deep. Now, Rig Veda is the oldest and the most voluminous of the Veda. It has 1028 hymns and close to 10,000, approx 10,500 mantras. And it talks about certain deities like Lord Indra, Varuna, Agni, Aditi, and so many. And they are so much mystical, mythological, but at the same time, they are very practical. I believe that our ancient sages and the seers, they had so much of a deliberations on the nature. Today we talk about environmental psychology. Today we talk about sustainability. I think the present we talk about ESG, that is environment, social and governance. And there's a lot we can actually develop, or rather we can build upon on the Rig Veda. So Rig Veda is something quite distant, but actually it is not a distance. It is very close to us. And it is so close to us that we cannot see it. It requires a certain kind of a contemplative mode to really get into it and really understand. So briefly we are discussing our Rig Veda, but of course we'll be having a separate program, separate podcast and separate videos on Rig Veda itself. It is so vast. Then we get into the next, that is called Yajur Veda. The word Yajur talks about the sacrifice. Now what exactly is sacrifice? It is yagna. Basically when you talk about Yajur Veda is talking about the journey of life. And it has quite a lot number of a component. It has close to around less than around 2000 mantras, and it actually takes us with a certain way of sacrifices and the yagnas by which you are able to really fulfill our dreams. And ultimately life is also about offering, and through our offering we have certain kind of a sacrifices and we do certain kind of a refinement. It was Swami Vivekananda who said that the world is a moral gymnasium, and we come across so many difficulties, and in the process, actually, you're able to take so much of refinement in your own self. Next is Samaved. Samaved, the word Sama talks about equanimity. It talks about where we have certain kind of a melody, and all the classical Indian music, which is so great. And then we have the last one that is called Ayurveda, which is quite big. After the Rig Veda, the Ayurveda is quite big. And of course, today we have so much of applications of the Atharva Veda we are talking about basically. So we have Rig Veda, we have Yajur Veda, we have Sama Veda, and we have Atharva Veda. So it was given by and Ayurveda is actually coming from the Atharva Veda only. So loosely we say Ayurveda, but actually it is the Atharva Veda in generic principles. So this actually talks about the four Vedas, and these four Vedas are further divided into four components, and let's understand out of those four components. So this is again a structure we are trying to understand. We have seen Purushartha, we have seen four Vedas. I repeat, we have Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda, and they are further divided into these four Vedas are further divided into four components, and they are the Brahmanas. Okay, they are Samhitas, Brahmanas, Samhitas, Aranyaka, and the Upanishads. Now, Brahmanas are basically talking about the rituals, and ultimately, India is a land of ritual, and now ritual has a lot of scientific significance. We'll again have a separate video on science of ritual, on the art of ritual, and why do we require ritual. Maybe one component I'll tell you, we have rituals because it is talking about the Bhakti tradition. It is getting in touch. It is an immersive model. And rituals also makes us to pause because bhagam bhagi, we are actually moving. We are into a rat race. And when you do rituals, it actually puts a break in your normal speed. So rituals are required, but at the same time, one should know exactly why do you do rituals and what is the importance of rituals. Okay, so Brahmanas, further we are going to really get into it. And then after the Brahmanas, you have the Samhitas. Samhitas are actually the collection, Samhita. Okay, so it has lots of hymns and praises for the gods and goddesses. And then we have the Aranyaka. Aranyaka talks about the forest treaties. And because in the forest, of course, there's a lot of contemplative mood. And if you see from the present context, the amount of forest should be around anything between 40-50% actually. But of course, the amount of forest has actually get lessened. But you see from the Aranyaka, where people has gone there, they have contemplated, and today we are talking about forest conservation. We'll deal with Aranyaka separately. Then we have the Upanishads. They are actually, you can say that the crown of the Indian knowledge system. And we have close to 200 Upanishads. Textual studies says that we have 108 Upanishads, but of course, reading and studying this 108 Upanishad is quite difficult. So we can say that we have principal Upanishads are actually 11, and they are very profound. And Upanishads has like Upa, Ni, and Shad. Upa means near, Ni means down, and Shad means to sit. So it was the Guru is giving certain kind of a wisdom to the Chela, that is to the student. And in those days, of course, when you're talking about Upanishad, you are trying to loosen and you are trying to get a lot of information from your Guru. So this is the fourth component. So we talk about Purushartha, we talk about four Vedas, we are talking about the four component. And then we have something called as the Vedangas. Okay, so we are getting into the structure. Now, Vedangas are basically Anga of the Veda. Now, to study Veda, Vedic science itself is or Vedic art or Vedic rituals or Vedic knowledge is so distinct and it is so profound. So one has to really know the nuances of it. For example, if you want to know calculus, you need to know trigonometry. One has to know the calculus. So in the same way, when you talk about the Vedas, one has to know the Vedangas. So we have 6 Vedangas. So what are they? They are Shiksha, which has to do with pronunciation. Kalpa, which has to do with the rituals. Then we have Nirukta, it is art of pronunciation. And then we have Chanda. Chanda is talking about the meter, how the slokas are having that kind of distinctions in terms of their meter. And then we have Vyakaran, that is the basics. That is We have Panini, who has given so much on grammar, the Vyakaran, and the last is the Jyotisha. Ultimately, we are all influenced by the celestial deities, or we can even say the nakshatra, the constellations. So it is astronomy and astrology. So this is the structure actually we are getting into. Further, of course, there are more dimensions. We are going to really get into it. So again, I just give you the summary. We have Purushartha, we have four Vedas, we have the four distinctions, and then we have the six Vedangas. So we have seen 4 plus 6, that is 10. So we'll be getting into the next 4, and that is how we'll be completing the Chaturdasha Vidya.